Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on Supergirl Season 2. Now this is going to be my review for episode 13 of Supergirl Season 2, otherwise entitled Mr. and Mrs. Mxyzptlk. But obviously before we go ahead, there will be spoilers within this review, so if you haven't gone and seen the episode yet, you might want to go do that, then come back to this video later on and let me know what you thought of the episode in the comments section below. Obviously, if you're sticking around and have watched the episode, if you want to go and do that now, let me know in the comments section down below what you enjoyed most about the episode. That would be awesome. As well as leaving a like to show your support on the Supergirl videos. And of course, if you're new to the channel, making sure to subscribe. So this episode carried on from the last episode, which was pretty obvious, seeing the way that the last episode ended. Obviously, I didn't do a review for last week. I've explained that, so I'm not going to explain it again. Now I'm going to call him Mr. Mxyzptlk just Mr. Mixie from now on, just because it's much easier than saying his complete name, because it is a tongue twister. But seeing Mr. Mixie singing A Whole New World from Aladdin was random but sort of fitting for that situation, so I thought that was pretty funny. Now this episode was of course the Valentine's Day episode, which was a week later, which bit strange, but you could tell it was a Valentine's Day episode pretty easily. It was evident with like Martian and Manhunter, who was trying to contact McGann, who was obviously on Mars. Alex and Maggie having their situation, which we'll talk about a bit more in this review later on. Kara and Mon-El, which sort of started at the end of last episode and continued on throughout this episode. And even Win. But speaking of Win, he gets some action this week with that alien lady, I think Lara was her name, something like that. But when those two dudes approach him in the bar, it was sort of similar to that scene in, is it Star Wars Episode 4, when Luke Skywalker's in that bar and those two dudes approach him, sort of similar to that. So I guess that whole situation was just like a nod to that scene from Star Wars. Now, Parasite appears again, which I did note in my trailer breakdown, and what I said was most likely the case with Parasite was the case in the episode. It was just created by Mr. Mixie to show Kara he is the one for her by helping her stop Parasite, dressed in a whole Superman outfit but having an M where the S would usually be. Just weird, but also kind of cool. Now obviously earlier in the episode it was established that Maggie just doesn't like Valentine's Day. She says it's like a corporate washout thing, but there's a much more detailed backstory on why she dislikes Valentine's Day. It is revealed that in high school she had like her first girl crush. She on Valentine's Day in that year she gave a card to this girl. That girl gave it to her parents. Their parents contacted Maggie's parents, and it ended up with her getting kicked out, and that's how she was outed as being gay, like in a very non-traditional way. So she was kicked out of home, had to live with an auntie until she was of age. Just insane. And obviously I think that's a pretty good reason as to why Maggie wasn't the biggest fan of Valentine's Day. Now one thing I definitely was not expecting in this episode was Kara, or Supergirl, to be taking on Jor-El in the form of his big ice statue in the Fortress of Solitude. It was very random, and when he was even destroyed I was like, well, that's going to be hard to explain to Kal-El or Superman that you've sort of destroyed his father's statue, but obviously it just gets put back there when Mr. Mixie goes away. There's even like a Lethal Weapon reference from the movie, obviously, when Kara goes, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." So that's obviously from that movie, and I thought that was just a nice little addition. So we did learn early on in the episode that one of the ways to get rid of Mr. Mixie was to make him say his name backwards. But, that's going to be sort of a difficult task because he's not an idiot. Like, as I think Mon-El says, like, he does talk like he's, doesn't have to breathe or anything like that, but he's not an idiot. He's just not going to say his name backwards. So Kara tricks him into basically entering or typing his name or writing his name backwards to stop like an atomic volcano launch thing, whatever it was. But obviously this goes back to something that's said earlier on in the episode with Martian Manhunter, when he says that writing something down can be the same or do even more than actually saying what you want. So at least you could say there was some connective tissue going on throughout this episode. Now obviously we had two romantic Valentine's Day set scenes, I guess you could say. The first one with Maggie Sawyer and Alex Danvers, or Sandvers if you want to call it that, which I'm sure is sending Twitter into meltdown at the moment just because that's what it does. And then we have the Mon-El and Kara scene sending other portions of Twitter into meltdown as well. Both probably in a negative and positive way. I don't think I have to explain why it's probably doing both because actually I will. Some people like it, some people absolutely despise it, so I guess you could say it's sort of like Olicity. I don't know, whatever. But overall I thought this episode was fun, it was crazy, it was random, it was you could argue it's filler, but obviously in regards to like the personal connections between characters, it did carry on those storylines, such as Maggie and Alex and Mon-El and Kara. And I guess it sort of had something to do with Martian, Manhunter, and McGann, even though it was like the smallest part. Like, he was really not in this episode at all. So you could argue it's filler, but I think it was still a fun episode and still had its role in the rest of the season, which is, you know, heading into that final stage. So I guess it still had some parts to play. But really, this has been a shorter review video just because there wasn't too much to talk about. Now, our next episode, I haven't seen the trailer, but I have read the synopsis, and it sounds pretty decent, but I will have my trailer breakdown out for that episode in the next, I don't know, not few hours, but within the next 12 hours or so, so keep your eyes out for that. If you did enjoy this video, it'd be very much appreciated if you could leave a like on it. Let me know in the comment section down below what was your favourite part of the episode. I think just seeing Mr. Mixie use all these different abilities and stuff like that was pretty cool, and just seeing what he could do. I thought the guy that played him did a really good job, just wacky, like impish, I guess you could say. But yeah, also if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.